Yes, yo. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Tech FX. All right, today we'll talk about trend line as a target, right? So I think we've said something about trend lines. Today is trend line as a target, maybe as a take profit, maybe as a stop loss, something like that. All right. Let me break up my chart so we can talk about trend line as a target. Now, trend lines attract the market, so they can be used as a what? As a great target. Now, if you have an opportunity in the market to draw a trend line and market moves away from the trend line, we can oftentimes trade back towards that trend line. So let me show you example of markets the market that is moving up, right? Let's take a look. Now, let's pick up this low and this low. See? I'm going to extrapolate it. Now, what happens now? The market takes off and moves away. Now, from here to here, we have some divergence here. So, we have opportunity to go short. Now, we can able to draw a trend line like this too. You see? Now, the main thing now that a market that moves down can also get back towards that trend line. You see? So it's a great way to have a target. To have a target of that trend line, the market can tend to do what? Move back in that direction, guys. So, if you guys understood what I'm trying to explain. So, market trend line as a target, we have a market touch here, moves out, come back, and moves out again. Begin to reach and pull off. We have a divergence here. Now, we have a tendency that market will definitely come back to this trend line as a target, but you have a opportunity of going short. When you identify the market structure or identify something in the market, the divergence, you are expecting a market to go short. So your target may be what? This trend line, right? Now, this is also another way. Now, the market breaks out the trend line. We also have a target that, remember, we have this what? A big space here. I have a big space here, I have a smaller space here. In my former lecture, I talk about trend line gap, right? Since we have a big space here, let me remove this first, guys. Since we have a big space here, and the market break out this, we have a high tendency the market to do what? Come back to that trend line. So when it breaks this, we wait for rejection. Is when you get a rejection, market is definitely going to come back to that trend line. As a target, this is how you can use a trend line as a target, right? Okay, now let's continue. All right, this is a bearish trend line, right? A bearish trend line. So let's take a look. Let's look for another opportunity of a bullish trend line. All right, now let's draw this from here to this spot, or from here to this spot, guys. Now, a trend line as a target. Now we have a big space. The market tends to have this smaller movement. Let me start from here, guys. Now, smaller movement, guys. Now, a big space and a smaller space here. Now, if we enter the trade from here, we can use this trend line as a target, guys. We can use this trend line as a target. Then, when you use trend line as a target, this should be a fundamental movement, I guess. This candle here may be a fundamental movement, or this here, this gap here is a void here, or this big void here. It's not actually a void because it has been covered. So now, when you have this, you can actually use this as a what? As a target. Look at this big movement, look at this small movement. Then when a market rejects in this zone, you can use this trend line here as what? As a target. So if you enter a trade at this zone, you can target this trend line as your take profits, right? This is a bullish movement, using a trend line as a target in the market, right? So I've shown you guys example of a bearish movement, and this example of a bullish movement. Remember, I repeat, remember again that if you're drawing a trend line, the first thing you need to have in mind to identify the space in the market. When you target your swing high and swing high, or swing low and swing low, or higher swing low and higher swing low, or swing high and a lower swing low, then you identify the structure, the space in the trend line, so you can be able to do understand. For example, this is a valid one, a big space and a smaller space. I've said it in my former lecture, a trend line gap. Now, a smaller space and a big space, it didn't work out well, but market tends to push this down. When you have this divergence of bullish trade, market tends to do what? Come back to this trend line and retest, right? Now, let's take a look at these two. This two here. Okay, let's take a look at these two here, guys. This line, don't mind me because I'm just doing this as a lecture purpose. So this big space and this big space, what happened? Markets touched it, move out, rejected. We are expecting a what? A retest to touch on this trend line. So if we have this rejection here, we can go short, and put our take profit on this trend line because market tends to do what? Touch this trend line, right? And since we have a big space, when it hits here, don't stay long in the trade and what? Get out and wait for what? Continuation, because I have a very big space here. Now, let's drag this out again and have this one here too. You see what happens here? A big space and a big space. What happened? We have a big space and market did not get to this trend line. Since we have a rejection here now, we have a tight stop loss here, we have a sell. If you go short here and target this trend line before movement, what happens? Market did what? Market hit our stop loss and move out. This trade did not what? Play well, right? Did not play well. So this is more like using a trend line as a target. On a normal lecture, we can even draw something like this. A market will move upward, bounces off again. Trend line attracts markets, move upward again. So what we'll be expecting here now is more like a bounce off, bounce off like this area and do what? Continue movement. You see? Now what happened? Market did not respect this bounces off again because it has done this and have a very big space here, and market did what? Push over. All right. In a normal sense, this may be what we expect in the market now, and it will take us out. Let me clear this and do this again. Let's take a look at this and this one here. Now what happens? Markets pulls up, touch this trend line, pulls up again, and keep rejecting and break this trend line. So we have a small space, we have a big space. It's a high probability of what? Or for us what? Going what? Short, right? A big space and a small space, right? All right, thank you. All right, let's continue again. This is a bearish trend line, and I also show you guys a bullish what? Trend line by using this kind of what? Stuff here. See? So a market touched, came back again, rejected this area, coming up to upward. You can enter a trade and target this trend line as a take profit, which will be maybe at least few pips. When you break out this rejection and maybe you enter on this candle, this can give you 30 to 34 pips and you are out of the market because you use this trend line what? As a target. Sometimes it didn't play well, as I showed you here. Like this one did not play, this one I showed you here did not what? Play well, right? So that's it, guys. So let me conclude this. As you can see, this is for market to go short. I can be able to place my take profit using a trend line. For example, from here to here, and have a trend line. I can be able to use my from here to here. I can be able to use my trend line as a target. Literally place it an ideal target. You know what I mean by ideal target? For a trade to come and bounce up and take profit, guys. So that is it about that. All right, this is a typical example of a trend line as a target, guys. Thank you, guys, and God bless you. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, share the video for people to watch, and understand it. Feel free to ask your questions. Come into the Telegram group where the signal comes, comes in, and be able to understand and enjoy the signal, guys. Thank you, guys, and God bless you. Zagatek FX signing off. Bye for now. Peace.